Today we're asking, will North Korean leader Kim Jong-un choose Vietnam's path to prosperity? After all, he'll be in Hanoi next week for his second summit with US President Donald Trump. And so it's very tempting to presume that the Vietnamese capital will serve up some inspiration. I'm Alex Jensen, exploring further for Korea Now. Vietnam's economic development model, dubbed Doi Moi and initiated in the 1980s in the wake of war, focused on a socialist-oriented market economy. A communist regime shifted from a planned economy to allowing private enterprises a significant role, ultimately prompting poverty to plummet and global engagement to thrive. And that includes the normalization of ties with the US just 2 decades after the Vietnam War. President Trump is certainly dangling tremendous economic prosperity in front of North Korea's leadership. Speaking at the White House in the last week, he said North Korea and Chairman Kim have a tremendous potential as an economic force. Economic power. Their location between South Korea and then Russia and China, right smack in the middle, is phenomenal. And Pyongyang does seem at least curious. A senior North Korean official reportedly recently looked around areas near a smartphone factory in Vietnam owned by Samsung Electronics. Yes, the South Korean tech giant. And that sparked speculation Chairman Kim could visit the factory himself next week. We should point out that a Samsung official responded by saying they are yet to receive any notice from authorities that North Korean officials would visit Samsung factories. But you can see the appeal for the North. Since building factories in 2 Vietnamese locations between 2008 and 2013, almost half of Samsung's smartphones have been produced in Vietnam. And imagine the lure of cheap labor in North Korea for a smartphone giant. And that's part of what's drawing the interest of iconic investor Jim Rogers. Local media here in South Korea have been reporting on the possibility that the American billionaire could visit the North after being invited by Pyongyang. The Gyeongyang Shinmun published a story claiming he would head there next month. Rogers himself has denied that, but he has expressed a strong interest in investing in the North, believing that Chairman Kim is genuinely keen on improving his country's economy. And Rogers has been to North Korea twice before, so even though sanctions keep his plans at a distance, there may be something there in the future. Sanctions could, of course, be lifted quite quickly if, and it's a big if, the upcoming Trump-Kim summit settles the denuclearization issue. But the US leader has continued to suggest in recent days that he's happy for now, as long as the North refrains from nuclear and missile tests, as has been the case for over a year now. What's more, South Korean President Moon Jae-in told Trump over the phone this week that Seoul is ready to give the US carrots to offer Pyongyang by reconnecting inter-Korean railways and roads and launching inter-Korean economic cooperation projects such as Mount Kumgang tours and the shuttered Kaesong Industrial Complex. Ahead of next week's summit, Moon's also predicted great progress in North Korea's denuclearization and the normalization of North Korea-US relations. While that sounds optimistic, and of course it's still doubtful that the United States will offer sanctions relief without denuclearization progress, could the North also be ready to adopt something like Doi Moi? Vietnam has maintained ideological control, but the state has handed over some of its economic reins. That might appeal to Pyongyang, and it would be key for outside investors like Rogers, who has commented he believes change is possible now because of the current North Korean leader's global outlook. And if that's not enough inspiration, the North only has to look to Vietnam, which was still experiencing poverty like North Korea in the early 1990s, with a GDP per capita of about $2,000, based on rates in 2011. On that measure, the North's economy has shrunk since then. Vietnam's wealth has tripled.